Well, hello. How you doing there, Amy?
I am doing very well. How about you, Ed?
I'll be better when I get my voice back, but until then, this is how it's going to be. They put me on medication for it, so
There you go.
it's
I'm very excited today for our guest. I will
why?
say that
Why?
because I started going to Merging Vets and Players, so
Hmm.
MVP, about a year ago. And she's very connected with that. And so I'm excited for her to share her perspective. And she's done and been a part of so many things in this area. So let's
Want me
bring,
to bring her in?
yes, please.
Are you
Let's
sure?
bring.
Wait. I want you to play your theme song again.
Isn't that great?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
because like I'm an old 70s baby. Well, I was born in the 50s. So if you can play that, watch what I can do.
I saw the hair going.
Yeah, see what I can do?
Big hair bands of the 80s.
so Amy and
Ed.
Ed, so what happened was people don't know that it took me like I don't know half a day to try to get on this newfangled stuff that you guys have. And I was thinking how brave I was to keep doing it, trying to download Google, StreamYard, and all that. And then I thought, what's the name of the organization again? Helping the Brave. Oh my God, that's what they did. Amy and Ed helped me when I was being brave. I could have run. I
You're
just want
not
you.
you're not a psychologist, are you?
Yeah. Am I a psychologist?
You're a
No.
psychiatrist.
I'm not a psychiatrist either. I tried to stay like once I passed the first exam to be a therapist, I went, wait a minute, I don't believe half of this shit. So I can't go any further on that. I can't get any more licensed with this because I'm going in a different direction for mental health. I'm part of the mental health evolution.
Okay. Go ahead, Amy.
All right.
She's your
So
guest, so you know everything
she is
about
my
her.
guest. So, Susie, so I'll let you know. So we have veterans on here every week, and we ask them. Usually, we start off with why you chose the service that you chose because it's been just kind of a fun question. So I want to ask you if you ever did choose a service, what service would you choose and why?
This is so funny because my staff just did this. We just did this because, we serve combat veterans and retired professional athletes. So the athletes had to talk about what military branch and what MOS they would have. And then we were, and I'm not a professional athlete or a veteran. So I got to pick both. And first I was going to say I was going to be a Marine. And then I thought, no, because when I was working at Boulder Crest Retreat, where we do Warrior Path, I got to work with all many spouses of CIA men and women. I said, no, I want to be a CIA agent. I want to be a spy because I have a degree in theater. So I know how to act. And I thought the most stressful thing that I heard of almost anything in the military was when the spouses and the children didn't know where dad or mom was, couldn't tell the school the truth about what mom and dad did. And I thought, wow, that's one thing to say, my husband and wife's over in Afghanistan. It's another thing to say, oh, they're on a fishing trip. Yeah, that's it. They're on a fishing trip. So that's probably who I'd be. I'd be a CIA agent.
Very cool. So then I got to ask that. So you're with Merging Vets and Players. So share with us kind of because you've been since the inception.
Hold on.
Okay.
How did you get into the field you're doing, what you're doing, and then how did you get it connected with MVP?
Okay. This is a great.
Can we go a little bit further back instead of just like yesterday?
This is
Okay,
a great
thank you.
story. This is
Whatever.
17 years ago.
Amy's great, but she always likes to just like, what's tomorrow? Yesterday look like. I want to go back.
Okay, well, let's go. Well, you don't want to go too far back for me. We don't have enough time. That's how old I am. All right, 17 years ago.
You're a hippie in the 70s is what you're
Oh
trying
my
to tell
God,
me.
was I ever, except
You were at Woodstock too, weren't you?
I had my car packed. My car was packed. And then I was working at a camp for my church, and a whole bunch of people got sick and I couldn't go. The fact remains this.
Amy's upset with me because I said that. I can see it in her face.
No.
So I just couldn't do drugs. I mean, I look like a hippie. I looked perfect as a hippie, but I was too social justice and I couldn't do the drugs. Anyway, I'm at my ranch in Malibu that has a nonprofit on it that I started. And so this is like 20 years ago. And a black van, beat up black van, comes down my driveway. We do equine therapy. We have all these animals, and we're on a mountain overlooking the Pacific Ocean. And I look at that and I go, that looks like a child abduction van. I'm not happy with them coming down my driveway. Out comes the car. That comes a skinny guy with a funny hat, an English accent, and one arm. On the other side of the car comes out his wife that looks like Morticia, or at least a woman that looks like Morticia with long black hair and a white streak. Hello, we'd love to do a drum circle here. And we heard about you. And I said, oh, my dad was a drummer. This is a great idea. Yeah, we're going to do this. And we find a place. I say yes. And then he says, oh, I'll be bringing veterans. And I was wondering, would you do some equine therapy with them? And I said, oh, of course, I would love to. So we make a date. He gets back in the van, she gets back in the van, and they start driving back at the driveway. And my staff says, do you know who that was? And I said, I don't care as long as there's no children in the back of the van. I really don't care who it is. And they said, that's Rick Allen, the one-armed drummer of Def Leppard.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I thought that's who it was.
And
there's not many drummers with one arm.
That's right. And so he and Lauren had started the Raven Drum Foundation. Everybody should look them up as well. And he brought those veterans to my ranch, and I started to do equine therapy with them. And just like I know about Amy, I was like, I found my tribe. I found my people. These are want-to-know people. They want to know. They're not know-it-alls. They want to know. They will keep training till they get it right. They are brave. They are funny as hell. They're Renaissance people. They know how to do everything. And they want to learn how to do everything. And they don't complain. They just keep going forward, and they're protectors. That's all they want to do is protect and serve. And I thought, I was a hippie, so we couldn't do that at the time, or many of us didn't, although some of my friends were in the service, and so was my brother-in-law. And I thought, these are the men and women I want to learn from. And so I just kept going. I kept inviting them to the ranch. I kept inviting them to my other nonprofit, which is called Lifesavers Wild Horse Rescue. We teach how to gentle wild Mustangs with veterans. And then I went to Boulder Crest Retreat. You may have heard of Warrior Path, which is a wonderful retreat now that's all over the country. I was one of the original curriculum creators. I was with them for 4 years. We got $20 million to go and do this all over the country. And of course, in the usual form that I do, once something's successful, I leave. And I got to go start something else. I got to go do something else that's difficult. So I came back home, and that's when Merging Vets and Players had started. I went to volunteer, and the rest is history. I'm now the clinical director.
And where are you located?
So we started out in Los Angeles. Jay Glazer, the NFL insider for Fox, started it.
He's a vet?
He's not. He's actually
a vet?
He's a professional athlete, but here's what he did.
I thought he was.
No, he's got this amazing gym called Unbreakable, and he's working with professional athletes. A vet comes in, Nate Boyer. You might know him from the person that asked respectfully, he asked Colin Kaepernick not to sit, but to kneel. So he's special forces. He's in the gym working out. Jay's training him. They're having conversations with veterans. Nate's talking to a veteran, Jay's talking to an athlete, and they're hearing the same thing. I'm lost without my uniform. I lost my team. I don't know how to be a civilian. I'm really struggling. And they came together and said, let's start MVP. And that's really how it started. We're in 8 cities around the country, 7 cities around the country, soon to be 8. We have a virtual huddle as well. So these cities meet in gyms once a week. And that would be Los Angeles, Seattle, Las Vegas, Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta. Did I miss one? And the virtual. So we have the virtual. We'll soon have 8. And we meet and huddle up. So we work out for 30 minutes to 45 minutes as a team. And then we sit on the mat, as we like to say. And just like in any huddle, we discuss what we're going to do, what's happened to us, what we need to get off our chest, what support we need. And that's 24/7, 7 days a week, 52 weeks out of the year. MVP is available to our members.
So you still have your place in Malibu?
Yeah, actually, I don't do that nonprofit any longer because it was 15 years that I was there. And when I went to Virginia, I decided that I had to kind of close that down because I didn't know when I was coming back. And right now what I have is I have 1,300 acres and 400 wild horses. I didn't start that. That was started by an amazing woman named Jill Starr. And we rescue wild horses and then we teach veterans how to gentle them.
And you're in LA? I'm trying to understand where you're
I'm in
located.
LA. Okay, so I'm in LA.
Yeah. That's what I was asking was about, but where
Yeah,
you're
I'm in
located.
LA still. I'm west of LA. I'm just it's
I'm
called
in
West.
Modesto. I know every part of
Oh,
California. So
I'm right across from Malibu. I'm 7 miles from Malibu on the 101, Calabasas, Agora,
Mhm.
that whole area.
Yeah, totally know where it is. That's what I was
Yeah.
trying to understand. Because
Yeah.
that's like, I lived in San Diego forever. It's like, where do you live? San Diego? No, really, I was in Del Mar, but nobody really
Right.
knows where that is.
That's
So you
right.
say San Diego, and that's the same thing with LA. So
Right. That's
and so I'm close to San Francisco and Sacramento. So
right. No, well, Amy, where are you?
I'm in Washington State, so I'm in Jason's group, and Cody has taken very good care of me. I laughed not last week, but the week before. I was in New Orleans, and I led my first expedition with Families of the Fallen through the Travis Manion Foundation.
Oh.
And when we got there, we were doing subfloors, and the project manager had me bear crawl under the entire building and back to measure certain things and do some stuff. And I kid you not, I was like, I would not have been able to do that had I not been going to Rebel with Chris. So I had to make a post about that. Like, it was amazing. It was very hard, but I did it and did not die and wasn't incredibly sore the next day. And I think it's all those damn sled poles, all the crazy things that he makes me do. Because I go to his gym about 3 days a week now since starting at MVP.
That's wonderful. I mean, that is something that I am so clear. As a therapist, one of the things that I appreciate is keeping up with all the newest information that we deserve to know about how we can get well physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and financially. Like all of it. You got to take a look at all of it. And now we know that working out can help heal your brain quicker than almost anything else. And specifically weight training. Weight training literally goes to your brain and helps heal it. So who knew?
Who knew? And so
I've been lifting since, not forever, but since I'm in the 30s, because I got in a bad car accident, and it totally changes how you look at things. So.
Everything. I box 3 times a week with George Foreman's son, who's called George Foreman the third. Mm-hmm. We call him Monk.
And how many Georges are there? A lot.
Several.
Yeah.
Several. But you never have to worry. My mother used to go, Judy, Susie, Judy. Like, I forget which one you are.
We did the same thing. We never called the right kid the right name.
That's right.
Yeah, I grew up as Mar Amy because my brother's name is Mark. So I was Mar Amy.
Mar Amy, yeah.
All right. So as the clinical director for MVP, what do you do? What do you need? What's the help? What does the organization need? That kind of stuff.
So one of the things that's very important to me as a therapist is you don't need a therapist to get well. That's absolutely imperative to know. The medical model isn't always the best model. The medical model is, I can tell both of you to quit smoking, quit drinking, and lose 100 pounds. I can go home after telling you that. I can smoke a pack of cigarettes, I can drink a bottle of wine, and I can eat a whole cheesecake myself. So the problem with therapy is I don't have to be well to do it. And there's many people out there that are doing work and passing the licensing exam, but I wouldn't necessarily call them well because we can be hypocrites. What I love about MVP is it's peer-to-peer support. It's the same thing I told you that happened the first time I met the combat veterans at my ranch. Oh, people who want to know, people want to change, people who want to get better, people that are interested in training and retraining. So what we do at MVP is we really support the idea that you already know, and all you need is a team to help lift you up a little bit more or encourage you a little bit more. And I spell that INCOURAGE, encourage. You already have courage in you. And if we're going to empower you, it's already in you, IN. And what I do is if you need a little extra support, If you need to know a little bit more about what happened to you, how it affected you, and what you get to do to make sure that it's a positive effect, I'm there. I'm there for free, 100% to our members, family members. And family members is very loose. So if you tell me I'm the best friend of a member and I'm struggling, you're in. I'm going to help you. Because family is by how you feel, not necessarily by legal or blood.
I'm in the mortgage industry and I do a lot of veteran loans, so I understand the difference in family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's how you decide to treat people.
Yeah.
It's what it is.
So I think like the first couple times I went to MVP, it was a lot. You know, I do feel like the space is gracious and it's very protected. It's, you know, for me, there's not very many in the veteran service space as a woman. To me, I'm always asked to be in an auxiliary, or it's just I'm the only in the room. And with MVP, there's a few of us female veterans in the Seattle chapter. But what was really interesting is it's such a different dynamic space. And because it is such a gracious space, people do unload. And so the peer-to-peer counseling is very dynamic. And I know that the first time Suzi gave me advice, I wasn't, so I think I was sharing kind of how overwhelmed I was. And she was like, you have a hard time asking for help. And I'm like, no, I'm asking for help. And she's like, but you haven't done it before. And I walked away from that meeting a little bit frustrated. But then as I started to really reflect, I realized that she was right. Like my family and friends were not used to helping me.
Right.
And so it wasn't until after she said that I was able to then, hey, this is what I need, and communicate much better to get the help.
And Amy, the only reason I knew that about you is we have a saying called you spot it because you've got it. I can see in you what I struggled with. If I was the child that was supposed to take care of the entire family, which I was, how the hell am I going to ask for help? I'm the helper. I'm not the one that's supposed to get the help. And when I ask, I don't even like asking. And I ask it with like nails on a chalkboard. And young people don't even know what that means. But the point being is that like I don't ask well. I had to practice asking for help. Worse, when I finally learned to ask for help, I then had to actually receive it. People would start to go, here, let me do that for you. And go, no, I got this. Don't worry about it. But you just asked for help. Yeah, I know, but I don't really need it. So there was a whole step process, Amy, of me believing I deserved the help. I don't really need it as much as I deserve it.
I think most vets have a problem asking for help.
So. Most vets come from families that we have 35% veterans.
Veterans come from families?
Okay, I should qualify that just a little bit more. 35% of veterans come from families that have tremendous emotional, mental health, and financial struggles.
Yeah.
So
because sane people don't run towards danger anyway. So
yeah. And they learn how to be the helper in the family first, which makes them great soldiers or sailors or whatever it is that they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Because
there's more than Army people on here. So
that's right, more than Army. So whatever it is, whatever service you have, you probably went into the military at 17 or 18 years old, and you went right through doing really well. You got onto the battlefield, maybe. You were, again, the one running towards the danger because that's what you did in your living room when dad and mom were going at it. And then if you get hurt, you're sent back home. Now, wait a minute. You're sent back home to a home that you wanted to leave. Think about this. You couldn't wait to get out of there, go someplace that had food and shelter and a lack of chaos, hopefully, and regulations that people really did what they said they were going to do. And you can't drink on duty and all of these things that could help make you safe. And you get sent back home to the scene of a crime you've never talked about. And some of them are horrific. I'm standing in front of a young man, went down range and lost both his legs. He's standing on the prosthetics, and I make all the veterans go through their childhood. And we literally map it out, and they have to write down all the trauma in red and all the post-traumatic growth in blue. So there's stuff that I got from my trauma that actually made me stronger. So we write it all down. And he shared his. I make everybody get up and share their history. And he said, I was locked in a closet by my dad when I was like 4 years old for like 3 days. And I looked right at him and I said, so I guess losing your legs wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to you. And everybody in the room was shocked that I would say that. And this guy smiled and he looked right down at me and he goes, oh, it wasn't. Being locked in that closet was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I'd go back downrange knowing what was going to happen, but I'll never go back in that closet. And that's one of the issues is we'll talk about what happens downrange, which is horrific. But we don't talk about what happened before. And we don't talk enough about what happened after. You are whole people that have a pre, during, and post-military life. And all of it deserves to be talked about and honored and explored and apologized for.
I think that's super powerful, and thank you for sharing that. I think yesterday I get tattoo work done monthly as a part of my self-care, and yesterday I was getting work done on my arm, and my
to cover up regrets.
You know, I don't have regrets. Thank you. I have a lot of water, a lot of turtles and stuff. And there's a part of my arm that my tattoo artist, she goes, I wish it looked different. Like it's not taking the color or whatever. And I'm like, you know, sweetie, because she's much younger. And I'm like, I'm 50 and my skin has been through gas chambers, has been through so many things. Like hazing for me was a lot in the gas chamber. Like I could do sentences in the gas chamber. I was made to go so often in different things. I had no green shirts because all of them were orange because they were all stained from it. And so you don't know what the implication on my body is from those kinds of things. Okay. And she looks at me and she's like about to cry. And I'm like, it's okay. It makes the water look the way water looks. It's okay.
Right.
And she's like, I don't know how to respond to that. And I'm like, I wouldn't have told you if we weren't talking about the ink on my arm, but I wanted you not to take it personally. It's not how you're applying it. It's who you're applying it to.
And, you know, you basically, Amy, gave her a whole lesson in what we would call post-traumatic growth. That shit happens and it hurts and it affects us physically, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. And it also made us stronger. It also gave us some gifts. I got two of my greatest strengths and superpowers from my abusive dad. That's just a fact. And so when you come back from the military, you are going to have physical and emotional scars. And yet you're also going to have a lot of strength from those experiences. That's the point, is that we've just got to look at the whole story, not just one part of the story, because I refuse to give you a diagnosis and then tell you that the greatest thing you ever did, maybe the greatest thing you ever did, is now broken you. Now it's caused so much problem that you'll never come back from that, or that you're just going to like, no, I'm never going to do that. And yet I also support that every single veteran deserves to get compensated, physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and financially compensated for giving up those years that I didn't give up. I was out there making money. So I believe in that too. I think the whole system has some real struggles here about how we say we honor veterans, all veterans.
So I'm going to throw Ed under the bus for this.
Nope.
He has a whole theory on the VA system. And I actually think it's like, I keep mentioning it to different people. Like he thinks the VA system should go away and we should get insurance.
Yeah.
And that way you can go anywhere.
Anywhere. You can.
That's the problem. You're not getting the best doctors at a VA. No. You're not getting the best nurses, the best anybody.
Well, you're also limiting care. The VA is about limiting care, not expanding care. It's trying to get the least amount of people in to get the care so that the money goes, you're not spending as much
It
money.
would be cheaper doing
Of
it.
course it would be. It would be cheaper and better. And the fact then is that people say to me, Susie, if I work with you, I'm going to get better and then I'm going to lose my benefits. Not on my watch, you're not. Not on my watch. You've already earned those benefits. That's the last thing I'm going to do. You still deserve to get better. And if that's between you and I, that's between you and I. But I will never do that. That is absolutely, it's unethical. It's unprincipled. We're supposed to do no harm. Well, that would be harmful if I did that. So yeah, I'm with you, Ed. Anytime you want to go into, an evolution, I call it mental health evolution, not revolution. Most of those come back around where they started. So I'm with you. I'll help anytime you want me to stand up for that. I'm in.
Well, it make it so much easier. People get service. We got people in California. I'm not California, Medicare or whatever, right? Who don't make any money and they get better service. They can go to Kaiser and get taken care of better than anybody else. And vets have actually done stuff and they should be able to go to places like that.
I agree. I agree.
All right. How do people get involved with MVP, Amy and Susie?
Amy, you want to say how you found it and how you got involved?
And do you have to be a combat vet?
You do.
You have to be a combat vet. Although we're open, we're talking about what else we need to do, including first responders. So
because there's a lot of non-combat vets who have the same issues because of their childhood. So
that's right. So Amy, go ahead. How did you find it and how did you sign up?
So when I got hired at the Travis Manion Foundation, the person that I replaced, her name was Julie, and she was not a combat vet. And she was like, you got to check out this group. And I think she had, from what I remember, she had gone in, like kind of presented about TMF to Jason might have been there, but Cody for sure. And, different things like that. So when I went, because I qualified, I kept on going because here again, it was nothing like I had ever seen. Nobody had ever cared about me in being a veteran. And so
you mean as a woman?
As a woman, but
I'm not negative.
I don't like all female spaces.
Yeah.
Okay. And I also don't always like being the only woman in a room. But when we have a shared experience, it's just different. And it was like I said, and it had to do with fitness. And regardless of my appearance, I love to work out and always worked out.
Right.
And so to me, and even sharing that aspect of how the VA deals with me, with the guys and stuff like that, Jason's like, I'm going to go to your next doctor's appointment. And I'm like, sweetie, it's in a women's clinic. Like, and, I appreciate it. But,
and how'd you sign up? What did you learn about how to become a member? Now you know you're qualified. What do you have to do? Do you remember?
So I am like you, Susie. I do not love technology. So I'm going to be honest. I think Jason and Cody did my sign up for me.
Bless their hearts. I'm just going to give them even more hugs for that. It's so simple. You can go on our website and it says sign up and then you can pick your area. So that's the other thing is you can see if you're in the town that we're in or the city we're in. If not, we have a virtual. So you can sign up for the virtual. And you literally click on that link, you fill it in, you attach your
DD-214.
And you accept all of our what we call principles of safety. Principles of safety that you read them and you agree to them. And then we read them every week so that you can understand that we are serious about being protective towards one another and making sure that we all are abiding by these wonderful safety principles. And it's that easy. That's it. That's all that has to be done.
Are they going to open up more of them?
Yeah. So we're looking
because like Northern California, you don't have one up here.
So. Yeah, we need one up there. We just talked about that. Actually, one of the things we think we're going to start doing is doing satellites. What we did was we have major ones in major cities and we have the paid staff for that. Well, that means we have to keep raising a lot of money to pay a lot more people to open up a lot of. And then we realized, well, wait a minute, why don't we have satellites? Like we could possibly work with gyms and work with veterans where we're not having full-time staff. and that maybe we could do it another way. So we're really looking into that right now, so that, because California could have probably have 6 locations easily, maybe 8, to be able to, and we truly believe that face-to-face is better.
Mhm.
We love the virtual. We have 40, 60 people sometimes in our virtual. And of course, once COVID hit, we didn't stop. We literally were the only veteran program that just kept going. Even Boulder Crest had to close down, but we didn't have to. We went to virtual, and now we're back to face, and we kept the one virtual because we know that we want people where we're not going to be to still have a new team, new support.
Yeah, because I mean, even in LA, you could have 3.
Oh, easy. Oh my God.
Same, because of the amount of people there. You could have one in San Diego because of the amount of vets there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely true, Ed.
Well,
I mean,
and how can you smack talk virtually as well as you can face to face? And that's part of it, is the camaraderie, right?
Yeah. We're pretty funny.
Virtual's I know we're doing this virtual and it's different, but virtual is not the way to do this stuff. I mean, it's great. It's better than nothing, but it's better to be face to face.
You didn't do a virtual mission. You were on a virtual battlefield.
No, I was virtual.
Drones, but for the most part, you guys were together in the barracks, in the the mess, everywhere you were, and that's what you miss. You miss that wonderful.
Don't miss the barracks.
I know, miss the barracks.
That's why when we walked the Camino de Santiago, we didn't do hostels. I said, I'm not doing a barracks again. So,
and I don't know what branch were you in. What did you do?
Navy. I was in the Navy, corpsman. Navy. I was stationed at Camp Pendleton with the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I may know yours a little bit more. So, and I don't know about helping the brave. Is it do you do the podcast? Do you do any other services, or is it mostly the podcast?
Mostly the podcast that bring people together. The plan is to build it out. It's just, we started this 2 years ago, and COVID, everything else. And so now here we are. And so we're trying to do more with it now. So.
And I think be a resource. We found that there's so many silos of information, sort of like, different VSOs will tell a story, but they're not necessarily reaching and collaborating with others.
Right.
And so I think one of the most powerful things is, one, we want to hear all veteran stories. And then also people who have resources, we would love to build out and be a place, just a point of connection where, anybody that knows me knows that if they went through, who's been on our podcast, and if they want to connect with them, they can.
Okay.
And, just reach out to me and I'll get them the information that they need. And people come on, all of them know that about it. Like, so if I connected, somebody goes, oh, I want to know more about Suzi or whatever, then I would do like an email introduction.
Absolutely. Feel free to give out my email or my number. I always joke and say I'm so old, my number's on a few bathrooms somewhere in LA and in Boston. So you'll be able to find me easily.
I feel the same is true about me at JBLM.
Yeah. As long as she has the AOL, we're okay.
Yeah. Oh my God. Remember that? You've got mail. Oh my gosh. It seems so long ago.
It actually wasn't that long ago. But
I know. Well, everything seems long ago to me. I'm that old now.
Well, everything changes so much faster now. So
yeah, that is true. That is really true.
All right. Anything else you want to add today, Suzi, before we go?
I want to add that I'm so grateful that men and women like you are doing this. That this is absolutely one of the best parts of the internet, and the fact that we have the ability to connect with one another, because I'm all about connection. So any way that we connect, I'm all for it. And I hope that the men and women that listen to this podcast know that if MVP isn't actually an organization that you become a member of, that doesn't mean you still can't get some of the benefits of connection with any of us. And Amy, I know you're as open-hearted a person as I've ever met, and I appreciate that. And I also know that you are a great helper. And the other thing is that you're not a hypocrite. Like, we got enough hypocrites, right? My friends, we take the Hippocratic oath. I go, no, you take the hypocritical oath, because you're not doing what it is you're asking people to do. And I will never do that. If I'm asking you to take better care of yourself and ask for help, and no, I'm doing it too, because I'm not going to not. do that, so we can trust one another to be here for one another, to truly be with, and not to just do for. Being with is more important than doing for. It really is.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for
Oh
telling your
my
story.
gosh. Thank you for helping me get on the internet in a new way. Now I know StreamYard. I'm just going to be like, I'm going to
It's
tell my
just,
grandson what I did. Thank you, guys. Bless you. Bless
stay
you.
right there. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Thank you everybody for watching. If you
Okay.
like what we do here, just subscribe and share, please, and let people know about us. And hopefully by next week, I'll have my voice back.